The year is almost over, but it's also the beginning of a new chapter, isn't it? The opportunity to go back and reconsider and realign your life's course. I've always maintained that your philosophy, not your sentiments or emotions, determines how life turns out. But the principles you've chosen to follow and live by. Consider how often we carry the same behaviors with us for days, weeks, and even years. The same ideas and justifications that have prevented us from moving forward. What if you made the decision to redo that script this year? As you can see, every effective change begins with a choice to adopt a new way of thinking. Must take deliberate action and have a successful life, after all, is something you attract by the person you become, not something you seek. And the fact that we get to write our own tale is what makes this life so wonderful. We have the power to select if this year will see us become stronger, more focused, and more driven to achieve what is attainable. But here's the thing. Hoping for change doesn't make it happen. It requires a set of values, a roadmap to guide you, and steady action to keep you on track. These 10 guidelines are not only theoretical concepts or nebulous goals, which is where they come in. These are tools that you can begin using right now to change your whole life, not just this year. Are you prepared to take on the task of applying the rules rather than merely hearing them? Because the first rule is that nothing works unless you try it. Accept complete responsibility for your life. This is the first step. A well-lived life is built on responsibilities. It serves as the foundation for all innovations and changes. Tell me who controls your life and who makes the choices. It's easy to blame today, but isn't it the government, the economy, or your upbringing? Your situation, it's simple to place the blame elsewhere. However, the reality is that nothing will change unless you accept complete responsibility. Being responsible entails realizing that you are the only one with the ability to alter your course. It entails taking responsibility for your errors, shortcomings, and even situations that weren't totally your fault, because you get control when you accept responsibility. Consider this. If something or someone else is to blame for your predicament, they have the power, not you. However, you recover control of your life when you declare, "It's up to me." I met a guy who was having financial difficulties years ago. He explained to me why he couldn't succeed, including the fact that his industry was difficult and his employer didn't like him. Although he didn't come from a wealthy family, so he had all the justifications in the world, but I asked him a straightforward question: "What are you doing about it?" He gave me a perplexed look. "What actions are you doing to enhance your abilities to offer value and open doors for yourself?" I asked. His life was altered by that discussion. When he accepted responsibility, he realized that waiting for someone else to make things better wasn't the solution. You stop waiting for things to happen and start creating instead of being a victim. You begin to make things happen, and here's the thing. Accepting responsibility empowers you. You put more effort into finding answers rather to focusing on assigning blame. Being responsible doesn't always seem easy. It calls for integrity. Taking a serious look at oneself in the mirror entails acknowledging your shortcomings, and it's not simple, is it? However, it's essential, because taking charge of your life also means taking control of your potential. You begin to wonder what I can do if I put my heart into it. The difficulty is to put your thoughts and energy into it. Beginning today, refrain from offering justifications or placing the blame on other factors. Instead, consider other individuals or even terrible luck. What am I able to accomplish? What am I in charge of? And how can I proceed? Because it's through your actions, not those of others, that change starts. Always keep in mind that although you cannot control everything, you can always control how you react. When the result is determined by your answer, assume full responsibility, and you'll be astounded by your actual strength. Rule number 2. Clearly define your objectives and record them. If accountability serves as the cornerstone, then objectives serve as the roadmap. A map helps you find your way, overcome obstacles, and make sure you don't just wander through life. If you don't have specific objectives, you're like a ship without a sail, hoping, yearning, but clarity and action are what life responds to, not hope. Consider your desires rather than what you believe you can get. The more you understand your desires, the more you will know what you want, not what someone else wants for you. The more focused you are, the more power you have, since you can't strike a target. Years ago, I discovered a simple but deep fact that you cannot see. When you write down your objectives, it's like sowing a seed in your mental garden. It changes from a passing idea to a real commitment. It's a proclamation now, not just a notion, and this is what comes next. When your mind gets to work on it, you start to see resources, possibilities, and solutions that fit your objective. At a lecture, I met a young guy who was ambitious but unfocused. He said, "I just keep them in my head," when I inquired whether he had put his objectives in writing. I pushed him to write down 5 things he hoped to accomplish in the next year on a sheet of paper. After some hesitation, he finally did it, and a year later, he returned to me crying. He had accomplished 4 of the 5 objectives, and the reason for this was that putting them in words made him concentrate and act, yet they are the main objectives that won't transform your life on their own. You must have a strategy that breaks down your objectives into manageable stages. What can you do today and this week, this month, in order to come closer to your goal? Consistency always outperforms intensity, and over time, little steps forward build up to significant outcomes. Don't just jot down your objectives and then forget about them. Evaluate them often. Keep them close at hand and read them every day. To stay motivated, picture them and remind yourself why they are important. And your efforts are in sync, and don't be scared to have big dreams. Establish objectives that motivate, challenge, and even frighten you. Because being capable of accomplishing a goal is more important than just reaching it. When you create a goal, you're expressing that this is the person you want to be and the way you want to live. Therefore, spend some time now writing down your objectives. Don't wait for the ideal time to begin. Do it now. Keep in mind that momentum is created by clarity, and momentum is what turns a vision into reality. Rule number 3. Make discipline your best friend. Discipline is the force that propels you ahead if objectives are the road plan. Even the greatest ideas and the most sincere intentions fail in the absence of discipline. The link between where you are and where you want to go is discipline. It's the capacity to persevere through difficulties or when progress seems sluggish, even when the enthusiasm wanes. Discipline is not about constraint or deprivation, despite what some people believe. The freedom to live the life you really want is what discipline is all about. Instead of being controlled by negative behaviors or ephemeral feelings, it's about stating, I choose long-term gains above immediate comfort. How often have you allowed your emotions to control your behavior? I don't feel like exercising today. I don't want to work on that project, since emotions aren't always trustworthy, are they? They come and go. But discipline dictates that I fulfill my obligations. Not my emotions, but I recall hearing a tale about a young sportsman who got up at 5 in the morning to exercise with hopes of becoming an Olympic champion. When asked how he maintained his motivation, rain or shine, he said, "Discipline keeps you going after motivation gets you started." Discipline, you see, is the practice of carrying out your obligations even when you don't feel like it. The plain fact is that no one is born with discipline. It is something that is developed. It's a talent you acquire by practicing one little choice at a time. Starting with tiny, attainable habits is the greatest approach to develop discipline. Avoid overcommitting yourself by attempting to make all the changes at once. Concentrate on one thing and make a constant effort to enhance it. And here's the trick. Every time you fulfill a self-promise, no matter how little, you build discipline. Your confidence is fueled by the trust you have with yourself. On the other hand, you weaken that muscle each time you violate a commitment to yourself. Thus, be sure that your promises are reasonable. Starting small and succeeding is preferable. Then set unrealistic goals and abandon discipline. This calls for a compelling reason. When you link your activities to a meaningful purpose, what is the underlying motivation behind your aims, and why are you doing what you are doing? You find it simpler to maintain discipline now that we must discuss setbacks. Being disciplined means you don't allow a setback to become a trend, but it doesn't guarantee you won't make mistakes. Get back on track, learn from it, and forgive yourself. Remember that discipline is not a punishment. The objective is development, not perfection. It's a present to yourself and the means to realizing your goals. To leading a fulfilling and purposeful life, therefore choose discipline as your friend now. Begin modestly, maintain consistency, and see how your life changes. Rule number 4. Assemble the appropriate people around you. The people you select to surround yourself with are crucial to your success. Have a significant influence on your life. They may encourage, uplift, and push you to reach your full potential. Instead, they may drag you down, sap your vitality, and prevent you from moving on. Which 5 individuals do you spend the most time with? Whether you realize it or not, you're starting to resemble them. If they are motivated, focused, and upbeat, you will be influenced by their attitudes, habits, and ideals. It's likely that you'll also acquire such traits, however, if they're negative, lethargic, or complacent. That effect will, however, also permeate your existence. If you want to alter your life, Mr. Schoaf used to say, change your circle. I wasn't sure what he meant at first, but as I looked at others around me more closely, I became aware that I was interacting with comfortable individuals. Being mediocre, making excuses, and lacking a desire to improve, and you know what? It was preventing me from moving on. Now, this doesn't imply cutting relationships with everyone in your life is a good idea, but it also requires you to be deliberate about who you spend your time and energy with. Look for those that push you to think more broadly and perform better. These are the people who will encourage you to develop rather than settle. I used to work with a young businessman who was having trouble growing his company. After speaking with him, I discovered that his buddies were warning him that his views were too dangerous. His confidence was suffering since he was surrounded by dimwits. I advised him to look for new mentors, friends, and business people who shared his goal and had faith in his abilities. His firm expanded rapidly in only a year. Why he chose to surround himself with positive individuals rather than negative ones. Let's now discuss the kind of persons to seek out in order to discover mentors. Individuals that have succeeded in the same field as you and are ahead of you. Take what they've learned from their experience and follow their advice. Second, look for peers who have similar goals to your own. There is strength in developing with others who share your path. And third, look for those who make you think differently. Seek out individuals who challenge you rather than merely those who share your opinions. Should see things from fresh angles, but we must not overlook the opposite. Sometimes you have to keep your distance from negative influences. These are the folks that always gripe, berate, or demoralize you. I am aware that this may be difficult, particularly if they have been friends or even relatives for a long period. But keep in mind that your surroundings determine your fate, so guard your attitude. By reducing the amount of negativity you encounter and doing one more thing. Add value to your connections by becoming the sort of person that others want to be around. Relationships are a two-way street, so support, encourage, and elevate people around you. Take a minute to assess your circle, because you attract the best when you give it your all. Do the people in your life support or hinder your personal development? Since success involves more than simply your actions, it's necessary to make some adjustments if they're preventing you from moving forward. Rule number 5 is about who you do it with. Develop the skill of consistency. Although it may not seem glamorous, consistency is the unsung hero of success. The little things that are done repeatedly, day after day, are what produce remarkable outcomes. Consider this. One good meal won't change your physique, and one exercise won't make you fit. However, what happens if you do it regularly for weeks, months, and years? Success, my friends, is more about consistency than intensity. That's where the magic lies. All too often, individuals become excited at first, then their drive wanes. They concentrate on their objectives for a month before quitting after 2 weeks of going to the gym. Why? Because people anticipate results right now, but the fact is that great things take time. The thing that connects the dots between effort and outcomes is consistency. One tale I recall is about a guy who wanted to cut down a huge oak tree, so every day he went outside and gave it 5 axe blows. At first, it appeared like nothing was happening, just 5 swings, no more, no fewer. However, such swings accumulated over time, and great oak finally collapsed. Why constant effort rather than a single strong swing is the reason. The same idea holds true in all facets of your life. Want to increase your wealth, save money and make regular investments? Want to become healthier? Do regular exercise and eat healthily if you want to improve your abilities. It's more important to show up even when it's inconvenient than to execute it flawlessly every time. How can you develop consistency even when you don't feel like it? Don't attempt to alter everything at once. Start small first. Choose one habit you want to work on and make sure it's easy to handle. Second, establish regular behaviors. Those who thrive on structure determine the activity's time, location, and method, then follow through on it. Third, monitor your progress. Seeing your streak grow has a strong effect. It encourages you to go on and recognize the little victories that keep you going. However, there will be days when you don't feel like it because life gets in the way or because things seem to be moving slowly. At that point, consistency is crucial. Remember that even if you can't accomplish anything flawlessly, it's better to do something little than nothing at all. Consistency is about growth, not perfection, so do it anyway. The beauty of consistency is that it builds up over time. The little things you do now will add up to something amazing tomorrow, much like compound interest in a bank account, and you'll glance back and see how far you've come before you know it. Therefore, commit to yourself, regardless of your objectives or aspirations. Resolve to arrive every day without fail, because doing something regularly is more important for success than doing it once. Rule number 6. Develop time management skills. Unlike money, which can be lost and then gained again, time is the most valuable resource in life, or abilities that you may acquire throughout time. Once a moment passes, it's never coming back. Consider this. How you spend your time affects the kind of life you lead. Are you investing or wasting your time in order to create the future you desire, or are you allowing it to escape your grasp? There is no greater or lesser distinction between those who fulfill their aspirations and the rest of us. And the goal of those who don't isn't more time. Time management is more than simply staying busy. It's about maximizing their available time. It's about concentrating on what really matters and being productive. Timetable your priorities instead of your timetable. That is, choose what matters most to you. and establish them as the cornerstones of your day. All too often, individuals waste their time on low-value activities or accepting every request before realizing that their day is over and their most crucial objectives remain unachieved. Here's a lesson I learned early on. Clarity is essential to time management. You must understand the 2 or 3 most important things that will have the greatest impact on your life if done regularly. Whatever it is, give it your whole attention and energy while you're feeling your best. What are some tactics to start with? Make a strategy for the day the night before. When you get up the next day, spend 10 to 15 minutes writing down your top priorities. You already have a strategy, so you won't spend time figuring it out. Second, use time blocks to provide specified time slots for concentrating on certain activities. Remove all other distractions and focus entirely on the job at hand during those blocks. When you're completely concentrated, you'll be astounded at how much more you can do. Third, if you say yes to anything that doesn't fit with your priorities, learn to say no. When you say no to anything, is it okay to turn down pleas or invitations? Things don't advance your objectives. Safeguard your time, which is your most precious resource. Always keep in mind that rest, relaxation, and rejuvenation are not extravagances. They are essentials if you want to efficiently manage your time. If your schedule is vacant, be sure to safeguard it as strongly as possible. Consider how you are spending your time while you safeguard your working hours. Time is a gift. Make good use of it by spending it in things that really matter or letting it slip away. Rule number 7. Develop an optimistic outlook. One of your most effective tools is your attitude, which influences how you see the environment, how you handle difficulties, and eventually how well your life is going. While you have no control over anything that occurs to you, here is the reality. You always have power over how you react, and your mindset is the first step in that reaction. Consider this. Depending on their thinking, 2 persons may encounter the identical circumstance and come out with very different results. While one views challenges as barriers, the other views them as chances to develop and learn. The viewpoint makes a difference, not the situation. I recall hearing about a shoe manufacturer that sent 2 salespeople to a far-flung town. Nobody is wearing shoes here, so it's hopeless once one of them reported back. The other stated that because nobody is wearing shoes here, it's a fantastic chance. 2 very different approaches in the same scenario. Which do you believe was successful? As you can see, your attitude affects your altitude. While a bad attitude almost always ensures failure, a good attitude won't ensure success. Why negativity saps your energy? Because it prevents you from seeing opportunities. This attracts more negativity. Conversely, an optimistic outlook strengthens your fortitude. Inventiveness and perseverance, currently developing a good outlook, doesn't imply ignoring reality or acting as if everything is flawless. Entails deciding to concentrate on finding answers. Look for the lesson in every difficulty rather than issues, opportunities, or restrictions. Find the positive side of every setback and begin and conclude each day with thankfulness. Take a time to consider your blessings and things for which you are grateful. Being thankful causes you to concentrate on what you have instead of what you need. It is difficult to be negative when you are really appreciative. Another effective practice is to protect your mind from negativity by being aware of the information you consume. The discussions you have and the ideas you consider. If you give your mind negative information, it will result in that. But if you fill it with optimism, books with positive messages, motivational tales, and powerful statements, you'll develop an optimistic and open-minded outlook. However, remember that it takes work to have an optimistic outlook, particularly during difficult circumstances. When things are going well, It's simple to maintain your optimism, but choosing positivity is where true development occurs. When faced with hardship, keep in mind that storms pass. Eventually the sun will come out, and how you handle the storm depends on your mindset. Another important thing to remember is that your mood is infectious. People around you are inspired and uplifted when you have a good attitude. You turn into a source of power and support, which has a cascading impact. You'll boost each other's success if you surround yourself with like-minded individuals. Therefore, make the decision now to adopt a positive outlook. Choose to see the positive and concentrate on finding answers. And to have an optimistic and hopeful outlook on life, because when your attitude is correct, rule number 8 will govern your life if you make a commitment to lifelong learning. The world is always changing, and those that flourish are the ones who never stop learning. If there is one thing that is constant in life, it is change. Making a commitment to lifelong learning is similar to honing your axe. It guarantees that you're always prepared to take on the obstacles and grasp the chances life offers. Now, learning doesn't end when you graduate from school. In fact, it just gets started. You may earn a livelihood with conventional education, but you can create a fortune through self-education. The most significant distinction is what you discover after you believe you already know everything. Work harder on yourself than you do on your career, Mr. Schoaf would constantly advise. I didn't understand him at first, but he clarified that if you develop your talents, increase your education and personal development to make yourself more useful to your company, your future and relationships. Thus, the issue is, are you making mental investments? Do you study books, go to seminars, listen to podcasts, and look for mentors? Because the fact is that you make more money overall the more you study. But in satisfaction and insight chances, one guy had established a prosperous profession, but he felt trapped and was unable to determine why. When I asked him what he was studying at the moment, he hesitated and said, "I suppose I haven't been learning much recently since he stopped developing," which was the issue. And he succeeded as a consequence. His career took off once again once he made the commitment to read a book every month, attend courses, and pick up new skills. The great thing about education is that the information you acquire today is compounded, builds on yesterday's lessons, and produces exponential development over time. However, I want to stress that you should use what you learn rather than merely knowing for the sake of it. Since knowledge is meaningless without action, how can one commit to lifelong learning? Instead of concentrating just on professional abilities, start by making it a daily habit. Learning about exercise and health is equally vital for personal development, relationships, financial literacy, and emotional intelligence. Here's another tip: learn from others. The more well-rounded your knowledge, the more prepared you will be to face life's obstacles. Be in the company of those who are more knowledgeable, experienced, or wiser than you. Ask questions, pay close attention, and be receptive to criticism. Lifelong learning requires humility because everyone you encounter knows something you don't. It's about accepting your ignorance and being prepared to begin as a novice. Don't allow pride prevent you from pursuing new interests or acknowledging your ignorance. Also, keep in mind that change is happening more quickly than ever before, with new sectors, technology, and possibilities appearing constantly. You're going behind if you're not learning, but when you make a commitment to progress, the problem is that you set yourself up to succeed in any setting. Make the decision to cultivate a lifetime learning habit now. Improve your abilities every day, as the more you learn, the more and you may do more when you grow more. Rule number 9, accept change and flexibility. Life is a cycle of seasons, and just when you think you have everything figured out, the weather changes. When you encounter new possibilities or problems, which is why flexibility is such an important trait. The difference between progress and stagnation may lie in one's capacity to accept change rather than fight it. When change arrives, how do you respond? Do you dread it, or do you resist it, or attempt to steer clear of it, or do you bravely and curiously embrace it? The fact is that change is unavoidable. Conversely, growth is elective. I've seen a lot of folks who cling to the known because they find change difficult, even when it is no longer beneficial to them. But the irony is that change is the one thing that is permanent in life. When you accept and adjust to change, the fight is only prolonged if you reject it. You set yourself up for success today, and I know that change may be intimidating. It forces you to go outside of your comfort zone and into the unknown, yet it is in the discomfort that you develop. You find new abilities, concepts, and opportunities during those uncertain times. The secret to accepting change is to concentrate on your controllable aspects. Your attitude is something you can manage, even if you can't always control the outside circumstances in your life. Your attitude and behavior, consider what you might learn from it. What is the possibility here, and how can I develop via this? Flexibility is another crucial component of adaptation, since things seldom go as planned in reality. Therefore, it's acceptable to be able to change course and modify your strategy without giving up on your objectives. Is what keeps you going. Picture a tree during a storm. Trees that are flexible and bend with the wind are the ones that survive, not the ones that are stiff. Well, Mr. Rohn, how do you cultivate flexibility? Start by adopting an inquisitive mentality. Ask inquiries and consider the possibilities rather than being afraid of change. And be receptive to fresh perspectives, then develop resilience. Resilience is the capacity to overcome setbacks. It's about seeing failure as a learning opportunity, but as a means of achieving success. Third, be proactive. The more robust you are, the more flexible you become. Don't wait for change to happen. Instead, prepare for it by keeping an eye on industry trends, your life or your community, and be ready for what is ahead. Being proactive means you're prepared to react and aren't taken by surprise. Sometimes the most significant progress comes from the changes we are most afraid of. What if that sudden change in direction leads to your ideal position? What if that challenging split serves as a springboard for a more wholesome partnership? Don't be afraid of change, since that setback may be the beginning of your greatest achievement. Accept it and see it as a mentor, a teacher, and a chance to grow, because adaptation allows you to flourish rather than merely endure. Rule number 10. Be thankful every day. Gratitude is the cornerstone of a happy life. It serves as the prism through which we see the possibilities, benefits, and beauty all around us. Yet all too often we ignore it because we are preoccupied with what we lack, what we wish were different, and what isn't working. However, gratitude helps us concentrate by reminding us of the positive things in life, of what is good, and all the things for which we are grateful. Consider this. How recently have you taken the time to really be grateful for whatever you have, even the little things? Daily benefits, such as the sun's warmth, a stranger's generosity, or the pure delight of a delicious meal. Being thankful means choosing to find pleasure in the here and now, rather than waiting for ideal circumstances to make you happy. I recall hearing about a guy who had every right to be unhappy. He had lost his company and was dealing with health issues. She was having a tough time, but each morning it was difficult at first. But he jotted down 3 things for which he was thankful. He had trouble finding anything at all, but as he persisted in the exercise, something amazing transpired. His viewpoint changed, and he started to appreciate the positive aspects of his life and adopt an attitude of thankfulness. provided him the courage to start again. Being thankful doesn't just alter your emotions. Being thankful alters your behavior and makes you more resilient. It's difficult to be disheartened when you're more upbeat and eager to give it your all. When you concentrate on the positive aspects of life, the remarkable thing is, the more you cultivate thankfulness, the more you discover to be thankful for. Now, how can you develop thankfulness in your day-to-day life? Begin with a basic routine. Every morning or evening, list 3 things for which you are grateful. Anything that makes you smile, comforts you, or serves as a reminder of life's gifts doesn't need to be large or remarkable. This practice gradually teaches your mind to concentrate on the good. Expressing appreciation to the people in your life is another approach to cultivate it. Tell them how much you value them, write a message of gratitude, and provide a praise. Or just express thanks for you. Relationships are strengthened by gratitude. This has a positive knock-on effect. I should also note that being thankful does not imply disregarding difficulties or acting as like nothing is wrong. Life may be difficult, and it's okay to admit when you're having difficulties. However, there is always something to be grateful for, even at the most difficult circumstances. Choosing to recognize the light in the middle of the darkness is what it means to be thankful, not to reject reality. This is a great idea. Being thankful makes what we have sufficient. It causes us to concentrate on plenty rather than lack. And this difference affects more than just your attitude. It transforms your life. Throughout the day, seek for chances to express gratitude. Take note of the compassion of others, the beauty all around you, and your own growth. When you're feeling anxious or frustrated, take a minute to consider what you have to be grateful for right now. Since thankfulness is a decision rather than just an emotion, make the decision to cultivate it every day today. Because living with thankfulness does more than simply change your mood, make it a habit and a way of life. I want you to pause and think about how you change your whole universe. Imagine putting these ideas into practice more than simply once a week, or even a month. But consider the change over the course of a year. That would occur in your life since they are tools, not simply rules. Instruments that, with regular usage, may help you create the life you've always desired. But the important thing is that knowing these ideas back and forth isn't enough. Yet, unless you put them into practice, they are merely thoughts in your head or words on a paper. Action, not simply occasional action, is what makes the difference. But persistent, deliberate activity. I want to leave you with this. Those who wait will not succeed. When it comes to those that strive, work, fail, and then get back up, when it comes to those who are prepared to make personal investments in order to endure pain and persevere through difficult times, what are your plans for this year, this life, and this moment? Will you ignore it? Or will you adopt these ideas and apply them to your own life? You have the option since, in the end, the things you do or don't do determine the kind of life you lead. Remind yourself that you possess the ability to achieve and that you have all you need. All you need to do is choose to utilize it, and you may begin doing so right now, and see how your life changes.